Hey everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today I am here with my friends from favecrafts.com and AllFreeKnitting.com to play with a Tulip Tie-Dye Kit and to show you that you can dye more than just cotton with the materials in this kit. Now, according to the instructions on the back, which you probably can't see very well, but it says that the dyes are brightest on natural fibers such as cotton, rayon, and silk. Well, I see no reason why we can't try to dye 100% wool. Furthermore, I'm going to show you how we can dye wool that has already been knit and have a lot of fun with some tie-dyeing. With the wonderful Tulip tie-dye squeeze bottles, you could really paint any kind of design that you wanted all over a pre-knit canvas. And the project guide contains a lot of ideas that are not only applicable to t-shirts, but are also applicable to completed knit fabric, or if you're not dealing with a swatch like this, a shawl or a hat, or really whatever you want. But instead of doing freeform, I am going to try to do a more traditional tie-dye shape. Now, even though the instructions say you don't need to pre-soak the yarn, I am planning on pre-soaking the fiber, but I'm going to wrap it up into the shape I'm going to play with first, because yarns and fibers can be weaker when wet. I'm going to start by pinching in the center and then twisting. This is my favorite method for t-shirts, so I figured why not try it with yarn. And then I'm going to add some rubber bands over it. Now, remembering the direction of my twist. It's possible that I won't get a great starburst, but we will certainly get some really fun tie-dyed colors here. Making sure everything's tucked in, and since I still have some wool showing, sticking out, I'm gonna add that there, and then I will just go ahead and do one more right here. But as I said, I am going to pre-soak this wool by submerging it into a container that contains just plain tap water. And we will be squeezing out most of the excess water before we start dyeing, but I am going to let that sit for about 30 minutes. I am taking my pre-soaked knit wool that I soaked for about 30 minutes, and I wrung out all the excess water. And on top of my garbage bag, I've laid down some additional plastic wrap that I will use to wrap up my wool when I'm done. And now I will take my mixed colors and start applying them. Now, it's useful to have some paper towels handy to help you dot up spills, etc. I'm actually gonna move that. Because the wool is already wet, this dye is going straight in. Nice deep blue. And if you drop some on the pavement, you can just dot it up with that section. But this is also why I like having a paper towel, because it makes it very easy to clean up any little spill. Now, this will be harder than a t-shirt to tell if there's anything in the center or how white it is. So I'm just really placing the bottle and squeezing into my quadrant. Some blue and some purple, which Oops, looks more like a pink. The kit says that it's capable to do 20 whoops. The kit says that it's capable of doing 20 shirts. I'm not sure if it can actually do all that or not, or what that would translate into yarn. So now we're going to do some red. Am I still in? Move the camera a bit closer. Oops. But part of sorry if I've moved this out of the field, guys. Part of the fun of tie-dyeing is that you don't know what it's going to look like until you've opened it up. But you can see that because of the amount of dye dripping, oops, not blue or green over here. Because the amount of dye dripping onto the surface, I have, sorry guys, I'll move over here. It's because of the amount of dye dripping onto the surface, I am oversaturating it a bit. But I'm not too worried. And these squeeze bottles that come with the kit, whoops, I just dropped that on the floor, but the squeeze bottles are really, really fantastic because I can hold on to my work and still manage to take them off. Eek, and I am dripping. Excuse me. Get the cap back on. Alright, so I've got a nice little rainbow going on here, but I really want to, and I've put a little too much dye on. But, you know, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that I will end up with brown. So now I'm going to set that down. You can see my hands are all covered in dye, but that's why it's great that they provided us with these nice plastic gloves so I can wipe all that up. Paper towels are also really fantastic. And now I am going to just gently wrap my dyed yarn up. And I'm taking a lot of care to not squeeze because I do not want to intentionally cause the colors to mix together. Then finally, I'm taking a grocery bag, and I'm going to gently place my little dyed skein in there and wrap it up a little more. This is to be additional, I guess, collection and to really protect my dye project. And now this is going to need to sit for 6 to 8 hours, and then we can open it up and see what we've got. So I went ahead and let our tie-dyed wool sit overnight. So I'm just going to unwrap it right here. Look at those beautiful colors. And let's look at the other side. So we can see that some of the dye's pooled. But we're now, without unwrapping it yet, you can see that it's leaking dye. We're just going to go straight into the water bath and watch that bloom. So there's going to be, you can see that we really put a lot of dye in here from the amount that's coming out. But as we're rinsing it, you can see that not all of the dye is washing out, which is a very good sign. But tie-dye projects do require a fair amount of washing, and you're going to want to rinse it until the water runs clear. And at this point, you can even remove a rubber band. Now again, I'm wearing gloves because I do not want to massively tie-dye myself. Are we ready to see what this looks like? Pretty. So I did not achieve, quite the spiral I had hoped to. But we certainly do have a really fun rainbow. And so once, you take the rubber bands off, it becomes a little easier to wash. And as I said, I'm going to continue to wash this until the water runs clear, which already, after a few rinses, you can see a lot less dye is coming out. And then to wash it a little further, I'm going to use, this is just some Arm & Hammer laundry soap, and wash it. The instructions that come with the Tulip Tie-Dye Kit say to run things through the washing machine, but since this is 100% wool, running it through the washing machine on the hottest setting allowed would allow it to felt. So if the yarns that you're working with will allow it, you should wash them with hot water, but I would still recommend washing everything by hand. And so once the water is clear and especially, so more dye will come out with the soap. So once the water is still clear with the soap, you'll hang it up to dry, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Here we have it, our tie-dyed piece of pre-knit wool. The spirals didn't come out quite like they would on a t-shirt, but you can see that we've got some nice twist of color around this square piece of knit fabric. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to tie-dye your knitting with a tie-dyeing kit. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and this video was brought to you by AllFreeKnitting.com.